True dominance isn't loud. It's the quiet confidence of a mind that refuses to be shaken. While the world reacts, you remain composed. While they chase validation, you stand grounded. Power is not noise, it's control. Control over your emotions, your focus, your energy. The loud crumble first. The unmoved endure. In a world obsessed with reaction, this is your advantage, the ability to stay still when everything demands you move.
The first step to real power is control. Not over others, but over yourself. That's where most people lose. They react, they overthink, they take the bait. And every time they do, they hand their power away. You've done it before. Someone insults you, you react. A setback happens, you panic. A delay shows up, you lose patience. And in that moment, you forget something critical. You have a choice. That's the truth most never face. Every time you react, you give control to the thing that provoked you. You give your mind to noise. You give your peace to chaos. But when you pause, when you refuse to react, you take everything back. Control begins in the space before you move. That tiny pause between what happens and how you respond, that's your throne. That's where you decide whether to be ruled by emotion or led by clarity. Listen carefully. You don't need to be the fastest person in the room. You don't need to talk first, shout loudest, or show off. You only need to stay calm long enough to see the whole board. Because power doesn't come from reaction. It comes from command. When you react, you are being controlled. When you command, you are the one in control. Let me give you an example. Imagine a leader walking into a boardroom. The tension is thick. People are arguing. Numbers don't add up. Everyone's waiting for his response. But he doesn't rush. He doesn't speak just to fill the silence. He waits. He listens. He observes. That silence, that calm, it unnerves people. It changes the energy in the room. Because silence is power. Stillness creates tension, and in that tension, people reveal their truth. That's command. You don't have to control others when you control yourself. You don't have to dominate through fear. Dominance radiates from composure. Now look at your own life. How many times have you lost peace over something small? Someone cut you off in traffic. You exploded. A coworker criticized you. You defended yourself instantly. Someone ignored your text. You started overthinking. You let external things dictate your internal state. That's not strength. That's slavery. And you've lived it long enough. You have to train your mind to stop reacting. How? Through awareness, through practice, through repetition. When something happens, stop. Breathe. Count 3 seconds before doing or saying anything. Those 3 seconds are everything. Because the person who can pause can choose, and the one who can choose can command. That's the key. The pause isn't weakness, it's discipline. The silence isn't surrender, it's calculation. And calculation beats chaos every single time. You've been conditioned to react, to prove yourself, to defend yourself, to respond instantly. It's ego, and ego is the greatest thief of control. Stop trying to win emotional battles. Win strategic ones instead. Let people underestimate you. Let them think you're passive. Because while they burn energy reacting, you're collecting data. While they panic, you're preparing your move. That's command. Remember this. Command your response. Command your reality. That's not a quote. It's a law. Every situation, every insult, every obstacle gives you two doors: reaction or response. Reaction is reflex. Response is mastery. Choose mastery. If someone attacks you verbally, pause. Ask yourself, what do I lose by staying calm? Nothing. Ask yourself, what do I gain by reacting? Nothing. But when you stay unmoved, when you keep your emotions in your control, you gain everything. People expect reaction. They feed off it. The moment you refuse to react, they lose their leverage. And the more you practice this, the more untouchable you become. Think of a warrior on the battlefield. He doesn't swing wildly at every sound. He waits. He observes. He knows that control of motion begins with control of emotion. That's not just combat, that's life. You must become that kind of person. Calm in chaos, still in storms, unmoved when others break. And don't misunderstand, being unmoved doesn't mean being emotionless. It means owning your emotions instead of being owned by them. It's not about suppression, it's about selection. You decide when to speak, when to act, and when to stay still. Because discipline is not about killing emotion, it's about directing it. When you master that, you become unstoppable. Every great leader, every top performer, every powerful person, they all have this in common. They don't waste energy reacting. They invest energy commanding. That's what separates the average from the exceptional. The average respond to noise. The exceptional respond to truth. The average chase attention. The exceptional command respect. You want to lead your life, not chase your life. And that begins here, in this first skill. Stop reacting, start commanding. Here's what you do starting today. Catch your triggers. Notice what sets you off. A word, a tone, a delay. Awareness is your first defense. Build the pause. Before replying, before deciding, before posting, breathe. Buy yourself that second. Reinforce the discipline. Every time you pause instead of react, say it to yourself, I command my response. Do this long enough, and your instincts will change. Reaction will be replaced with reflection, and reflection will turn into power. Because calmness under pressure isn't something you're born with. It's something you build, brick by brick, decision by decision. There's a reason generals pause before giving an order, a reason kings wait before speaking, a reason the wise are silent when fools are loud. It's not arrogance, it's awareness. They know that timing and tone decide everything, and you only master timing when you master yourself. So the next time life throws chaos at you, remember this moment. Remember that you are not a slave to reaction. You are the commander of your own mind, and your composure is your crown. Because when you can hold your peace under pressure, you can hold your purpose through anything. That's real control. That's quiet strength.
The world wants your attention, and it will do anything to get it. Every headline, every notification, every argument, it's bait. It's designed to pull you out of focus and into reaction. Because when you react, you're not thinking. When you react, you're not choosing. When you react, you're not commanding your life. Someone else is. That's the truth most people never see.
They think they're staying informed. They think they're connected. But really, they're being controlled. You have to see the game for what it is. The world feeds on your reaction. That's how it keeps you weak. That's how it keeps you distracted. That's how it keeps you small. The moment you respond emotionally, they win. Because now they have your energy, and your energy is your power. Scroll through your phone for 10 minutes. Count how many things are designed to make you react. Anger, fear, outrage, comparison. Every post is a hook. Every story is bait. You think you're browsing, but you're being programmed. You think you're choosing, but you're being led. And you don't even realize how much of your strength you give away daily, one scroll at a time. You have to wake up. You have to reclaim your attention, because your attention decides your direction. Where focus goes, your life follows. And here's the truth. You can't build something great when you're busy reacting to everything small. Silence is not weakness. It's weaponry. That's the phrase you need to burn into your mind. Because in a noisy world, silence disturbs people. It makes them uncomfortable. They don't know how to read you. They can't predict you. And unpredictability is power. They want you loud. They want you reactive. Because if they can read your emotions, they can control your next move. But when you stay calm, when you refuse to take the bait, you take the board away from them. That's the key. It's not about being passive. It's about being strategic. You choose when to speak. You choose when to move. You choose where your energy goes. You don't need their permission to stay silent. You don't need to respond to everything that calls your name. Sometimes, the most powerful response is no response at all. Think of how many times you've been dragged into unnecessary battles. Someone says something online. You reply. Someone questions your decision. You defend yourself. Someone gossips. You join in. You think you're standing up for yourself, but you're really stepping into their arena. And when you fight on their terms, you've already lost. The master doesn't step into every fight. He watches. He listens. He saves his strikes for when they matter. You have to do the same. You have to stop wasting energy proving yourself. You have to stop reacting to noise. You have to stop explaining your vision to people who are addicted to misunderstanding you. They want to drain your focus. Don't give it to them. You have a choice. You can spend your life reacting to distractions, or you can spend your life creating direction. One destroys your peace. The other builds your purpose. That's the choice between noise and command. When you react to noise, you become a puppet. When you ignore it, you become a presence. And presence is powerful. Presence makes people lean in. Presence makes people listen when you finally do speak. Because silence builds gravity. It builds weight. It makes your words matter when you finally decide to use them. So stop wasting that power on noise. Save it for moments that deserve it. Here's the truth. Most people talk to be heard. The powerful talk to make impact. Most people listen to reply. The powerful listen to understand. Most people argue to win. The powerful walk away to rule their peace. It's not about ego. It's about efficiency. It's not about appearing strong. It's about being strong enough not to react. Because silence doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're working. It means you're focused. It means you've got nothing to prove. That's how you separate yourself from the crowd. Here's what you need to start doing today. Step 1. Cut your input.
Audit what you consume. If it drains you, delete it. If it distracts you, mute it. If it doesn't grow you, remove it. That's not isolation. That's optimization. Step 2. Build daily silence. Set aside 10 minutes a day with no phone, no music, no words. Sit in the quiet. Let your thoughts settle. You'll start to hear your real voice again, not the world's. Step 3. Respond with intention. Before replying to anything, ask, does this serve my purpose? If not, let silence answer for you. That's how you break the trap. That's how you take back control. Because silence is not the absence of action, it's the preparation for it. It's where clarity is born. And clarity is what the noisy world fears most. You have a choice. Keep reacting to distractions or keep creating direction. One destroys your peace. The other builds your purpose. That's the choice between noise and command. When you react to noise, you become a puppet. When you ignore it, you become a presence. And presence is powerful. Presence makes people lean in. Presence makes people listen when you finally do speak. Because silence builds gravity. It builds weight. It makes your words matter when you finally decide to use them. So stop wasting that power on noise. Save it for moments that deserve it. Here's the truth. Most people talk to be heard. The powerful talk to make impact. Most people listen to reply. The powerful listen to understand. Most people argue to win. The powerful walk away to rule their peace. It's not about ego. It's about efficiency. It's not about appearing strong. It's about being strong enough not to react. Because silence doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're working. It means you're focused. It means you've got nothing to prove. That's how you separate yourself from the crowd. Here's what you need to start doing today. Step 1. Cut your input. Audit what you consume. If it drains you, delete it. If it distracts you, mute it. If it doesn't grow you, remove it. That's not isolation. That's optimization. Step 2. Build daily silence. Set aside 10 minutes a day with no phone, no music, no words. Sit in the quiet. Let your thoughts settle. You'll start to hear your real voice again, not the world's. Step 3. Respond with intention. Before replying to anything, ask, does this serve my purpose? If not, let silence answer for you. That's how you break the trap. That's how you take back control. Because silence is not the absence of action, it's the preparation for it. It's where clarity is born. And clarity is what the noisy world fears most. You have a choice. Keep reacting to distractions or keep creating direction. One destroys your peace. The other builds your purpose. That's the choice between noise and command. When you react to noise, you become a puppet. When you ignore it, you become a presence. And presence is powerful. Presence makes people lean in. Presence makes people listen when you finally do speak. Because silence builds gravity. It builds weight. It makes your words matter when you finally decide to use them. So stop wasting that power on noise. Save it for moments that deserve it. Here's the truth. Most people talk to be heard. The powerful talk to make impact. Most people listen to reply. The powerful listen to understand. Most people argue to win. The powerful walk away to rule their peace. It's not about ego. It's about efficiency. It's not about appearing strong. It's about being strong enough not to react. Because silence doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're working. It means you're focused. It means you've got nothing to prove. That's how you separate yourself from the...
You've been taught that movement equals progress, that hustle equals success, that stillness means laziness, that waiting means weakness. They lied to you. Stillness is not inaction. Stillness is precision. It's control. It's strategy. It's the art of timing your strike so perfectly that it looks effortless. The truth is simple. Most people lose not because they lack strength, but because they waste it. They swing at everything. They talk too soon. They move too fast. They burn their energy trying to look productive instead of being effective. You have to understand this. Every move you make costs energy. Every reaction drains focus. Every unnecessary action weakens your impact. That's the key. You don't win by doing more. You win by doing right. You win by doing deliberately. Stillness is how you build that power. Stillness is not stopping, it's sharpening. Stillness sharpens the blade. Think of a warrior before battle. He's not pacing, he's not shouting, he's calm, focused. His blade is steady. His breath is slow. He's waiting for the moment. The fool mistakes that calm for fear. He rushes in, swinging wildly. The warrior moves once, clean, exact, final. That's what stillness is, readiness without restlessness. It's not about doing nothing, it's about doing only what matters. You have a choice. You can live like the fool, burning energy, reacting to everything, or live like the warrior, conserving strength for the moment that counts. That's the difference between noise and mastery. In life, timing is everything. Say something too early, no one listens. Say it too late, no one cares. Act too soon, you ruin the process. Act too late, the moment's gone. Stillness teaches you timing. It teaches you to wait, not out of fear, but out of focus. It's not about hesitation, it's about calculation. That's what separates the disciplined from the desperate. You have to train yourself to stop moving just to feel progress, because movement without direction is chaos, and chaos looks busy, but builds nothing. Let's be real. We live in an age addicted to motion. Everyone's doing something, posting, talking, grinding, reacting. But few are thinking. Few are observing. Few are waiting for precision. You don't need to move faster. You need to move smarter. When you learn to stay still, you learn to see. You see what others miss. You see patterns, weaknesses, opportunities. Stillness gives you data, and data gives you dominance. That's the key. The moment you stop reacting, you start reading the world. You see the hidden openings. You find the perfect strike. Let me give you an example. Imagine a negotiator sitting across from someone desperate to close a deal. The desperate one talks too much, reveals too much, begs too hard. The still one? He listens. He speaks little. He watches tone, breath, hesitation. Every silence from him creates pressure. Every pause forces the other side to reveal more. That's not passivity. That's precision. He's not doing nothing. He's doing everything right. Stillness sharpens the blade.
And when the moment comes, he speaks once. Calm, clear, final. He gets exactly what he wanted. That's how power works. You have to unlearn the addiction to constant doing. You have to stop confusing activity with achievement. You can't hear your intuition when you're always in motion. You can't see the bigger picture when you're always chasing the next step. Sometimes you need to step back, not forward. Sometimes you need to observe, not act. Sometimes you need to wait, not rush. That's not fear, that's wisdom. Because the person who can stay still in chaos commands chaos. The person who can pause in urgency controls urgency. The person who can think before moving wins before starting. Here's what you must start doing. Step 1. Create deliberate pauses. Before you reply, pause. Before you decide, pause. Before you act, pause. That's where clarity lives. Step 2. Replace urgency with accuracy. You don't need to be first. You need to be right. Speed without strategy is self-sabotage. Learn to slow down and aim. Step 3. Practice intentional waiting. Waiting isn't wasting, it's preparation. The archer pulls the string back before releasing the arrow. That backward motion, that stillness, creates forward force. That's how precision works. You don't need to prove that you're working every second. You don't need their permission to slow down. You don't need to move just because others are moving. Let them rush. Let them panic. Let them mistake noise for momentum. You stay still. You stay focused. You stay in control. Because when you stay still long enough, you see what they can't. You see what's real. You see what's worth your energy. And then, when you strike, it's with absolute precision. That's the discipline. That's the mastery. You have a choice. You can keep rushing and missing, or you can stay still and hit your target every time. It's not about laziness. It's about leverage. It's not about delay. It's about direction. It's not about inactivity. It's about intelligence. Stillness doesn't mean you're standing still. It means you're standing strong. You're letting the noise pass, letting emotions settle, letting truth surface. That's what gives you the edge. That's what makes you unstoppable. Because power doesn't rush. Power waits. Power doesn't panic. Power plans. Power doesn't react. Power responds. So stop confusing stillness with stagnation. Stop apologizing for your patience. Stop explaining your silence. Stillness is your forge. It's where discipline hardens. It's where precision forms. It's where power lives. The world moves fast, too fast. But the wise, the powerful, the disciplined, they move at their own pace. They strike when the time is right. Because precision beats panic every time. Stillness sharpens the blade. You've now learned the art of timing. You've learned to use stillness as a weapon, not a weakness. You've learned how to hold your energy until it matters. But precision means nothing if you can't master your expression. You can't command your world if you can't command your words. You can't lead in silence if you lose control the moment you speak. So now we move to the next level.
The most dangerous person in any room is the one who can stay calm when insulted. Not the loudest, not the angriest, not the one with the most words, but the one who can control their tongue when every nerve is screaming to react. That's real power. That's inner command. That's leadership under fire. Because anyone can speak, anyone can shout, but few can pause. And that's where strength is built, in the pause. Pause, breathe, then decide. Let's be real. Most people lose not because they're wrong, but because they can't stay silent long enough to win. They talk themselves out of respect. They argue themselves out of control. They let emotion take the wheel and then wonder why the car crashes. You have to train yourself differently. You have to learn the art of silence before reaction, the art of restraint before response, the art of waiting one breath longer than your anger wants you to. That's the difference between those who command a room and those who collapse under emotion. Pause, breathe, then decide. Here's the truth. You don't lose control in moments. You lose it in microseconds. The instant you take the bait, the instant you feel insulted, the instant you open your mouth to defend instead of observe. And in that tiny crack, emotion floods in. Anger takes over. Logic leaves. You've seen it happen in arguments, meetings, relationships, even online. Someone says something you don't like. Your pride lights up like a fuse. And instead of staying calm, you detonate. Then regret walks in, right on time. That's the pattern. And that's what you're here to break. Because emotional control isn't suppression, it's strategy. It's not about pretending you don't feel. It's about choosing when and how to feel. That's the key. Think about the most powerful leaders in history. They didn't win by yelling louder. They won by saying less and meaning more. They understood timing. They understood tone. They understood the pause. Every word was a weapon, used precisely, not emotionally. They knew, once words leave your mouth, they own you. You can't take them back. You can't undo what's been said. So they spoke when it mattered. And when it didn't, they stayed silent. You have that same choice. Here's what most people don't get. Silence doesn't mean weakness. It means calculation. When you pause, you see. You see their intentions. You see their weakness. You see your options. But when you speak too soon, you lose all three. Stillness before speech is your filter. It separates impulse from intelligence, emotion from execution. That's how calm people win. They pause long enough to see the full board. You don't need their permission to take a breath before answering. You don't need to fill every silence. You don't need to prove you're right in real time. Because the one who can wait to speak controls the conversation. Pause, breathe, then decide. Let's break this down into action, because this isn't philosophy. This is practice. Step 1. Recognize the trigger. When you feel your temperature rising, that's your signal. Your body is warning you. Don't react, observe. Label the emotion in your head. Anger, ego, hurt. Once you name it, it loses half its power. Step 2. Pause before response. Count to 3, literally. 1, 2, 3. In those seconds, breathe slow. Let your logic catch up to your feeling. That pause is your shield. It's where power collects. Step 3. Choose your tone, not just your words. Because people don't hear words, they feel energy. If your tone is calm, your presence is strong. If your tone is sharp, your presence collapses. Control tone, and you control the room. Step 4. Speak with intention. Say less, mean more. The fewer your words, the heavier their weight. People will test you. They'll poke your calm just to see if it's real. They'll insult you to pull you into their level. They'll use your emotion to justify their weakness. Don't give them the satisfaction. When they throw chaos, stand still. When they shout, lower your voice. When they provoke, smile slightly, breathe, and let silence work for you. Because silence in that moment isn't surrender, it's dominance. That's the key. You're not ignoring them, you're disarming them. Their power ends where your composure begins. Let's talk about what this looks like in real life. You're in a meeting, someone undermines you publicly. Old you'd snap, defend, explain. New you pause. You look at them. You breathe. You say calmly, "Are you finished?" And then when the silence thickens, you speak with precision. No emotion, no rush. You win the room without raising your voice. That's what mastery looks like. Or imagine someone disrespects you in conversation. You could shout, you could argue, or you could pause. Let their words hang heavy. Let silence make them uncomfortable. Then you say, quietly, "I'll respond when you're ready to speak respectfully." That line, calm, confident, and precise, cuts deeper than any insult ever could. Pause, breathe, then decide. The greatest weapon you'll ever carry is emotional control. Because when you control your response, you control the outcome. When you pause, you see options others miss. When you breathe, you regain power others lose. It's not about suppression, it's about strategy. It's not about silence, it's about selection. It's not about ego, it's about energy management. The pause before you speak is where wisdom lives. It's where your self-respect stands guard. It's where your next move is chosen consciously, not emotionally. That's how empires are led. That's how relationships are healed. That's how personal power is built, one pause at a time. You have a choice. You can keep reacting like the rest of the world, fast, emotional, reckless. Or you can become the rare kind of person who pauses, breathes, and decides. Because when everyone else loses their cool, your calm becomes a weapon. When everyone else speaks without thought, your silence becomes influence. When everyone else rushes to defend, your stillness becomes strength. The world doesn't need more loud voices. It needs more measured ones. It needs more people who can pause before they speak. Pause, breathe, then decide. You've now learned the discipline of emotional restraint. You've learned how to pause before you speak, how to protect your power in moments of chaos. But control isn't just about silence. It's also about what you choose to express. because the energy you release into the world through words, tone, or even presence determines what returns to you. You mastered your speech. Now let's master your projection.
The unmoved don't chase results. They don't obsess over the finish line. They master the repetition. They master the discipline. They master the process. Because results are noisy. Results are emotional. Results are temporary. But process is where power lives. Detach from the result. Dominate the process. Everyone wants to win, but few are willing to do the same thing over and over with no applause, no recognition, no visible progress, and still keep going. That's what separates the masters from the masses. The world is filled with people addicted to outcomes. They only show up when success is visible. They only give effort when they feel progress. They only commit when they can guarantee reward. But life doesn't work like that. Growth doesn't reward the impatient. Mastery doesn't negotiate with comfort. If you want control, you must learn to act without needing proof, to execute without needing approval, to keep showing up when nobody's watching. That's the secret most never learn. Detachment isn't weakness, it's strength. It's freedom. It's how you move forward when others freeze in frustration. Detach from the result. Dominate the process. Look at the great ones, the elite athletes, the master craftsmen, the top performers in any field. They don't obsess over the trophy. They obsess over form, over consistency, over execution. They know the scoreboard doesn't define them. Their routine does. A champion doesn't wait for the crowd to cheer. They repeat the drill. They perfect the move. They refine the detail again and again until mastery becomes muscle memory. They understand something the average person doesn't. You can't control the outcome, but you can command the process. That's the key. The process is your domain. The outcome is not. Here's the problem. Most people live backwards. They start with the goal, then crumble when the result doesn't show up fast enough. They want control, but they're attached to things they can't control: timing, luck, validation. And that's why they stay frustrated. They're gripping the wrong handle. You can't control how the world responds to your effort. You can only control your effort. You can't control how fast success arrives. You can only control that you keep moving. You can't control how others perceive you. You can only control your discipline. That's the shift. That's detachment. It's not apathy. It's alignment. You stop fighting to control what's outside you and focus entirely on what's within. Let's make this real. You want to get fit. If you're obsessed with the number on the scale, you'll quit when progress slows. If you're obsessed with looking different in a week, you'll lose focus when results lag. But if you're obsessed with showing up, with completing today's workout, with hitting your nutrition targets, with mastering the daily habit, you win long before the results appear. Because the process is where transformation happens, not the finish line. The athlete doesn't think about the final whistle. They think about the next play.
They think about execution. And that's what keeps them dangerous. They don't panic when they're behind. They don't celebrate too early when they're ahead. They stay in rhythm. They stay locked in. They stay unmoved. Because they know the scoreboard lies. The process doesn't. Detach from the result. Dominate the process. You have a choice. You can live attached, controlled by results, validation, and timing. Or you can live detached, driven only by discipline, repetition, and command. That's the difference between emotional and effective, between reactive and relentless, between ordinary and unstoppable. When you attach to outcomes, your emotions become your ruler. You feel high when things go right. You feel broken when they don't. But when you attach to process, your emotions bow to your mission. You stop chasing dopamine and start chasing discipline. You stop checking results and start checking execution. You stop asking, "Did it work?" and start asking, "Did I show up?" Because that's what defines winners. They show up every single day, even when it's boring, even when it's invisible, even when no one cares. That's the difference between a dabbler and a dominator. Detachment gives you peace. Process gives you power. You want both. Detachment means I will not let results control my state. Process means I will not let laziness control my actions. It's not about wanting the outcome less. It's about trusting that the outcome will come because you stayed true to the process. Stop needing proof to continue. Stop needing validation to believe. Stop needing a finish line to start moving. That's weakness disguised as motivation. And you're stronger than that. You don't need motivation. You need mastery. You don't need results. You need rhythm. You don't need permission. You need persistence. Detach from the result. Dominate the process. Let's talk practice. How you live this daily. 1. Define the process. Get clear on what you can control. Your habits, your routine, your input. Write them down. These are your anchors. 2. Track the effort, not the outcome. Each day ask, did I execute my process today? That's the scoreboard that matters. 3. Expect nothing. Deliver everything. Give 100% to every repetition, every task, every conversation, and then walk away. No need to check the result. You already won the moment you showed up fully. The unmoved don't chase outcomes. They attract them. Because when your energy isn't scattered chasing what you can't control, it's focused on perfecting what you can. And when you perfect what you can, results can't help but follow. You've seen it. The people who stop chasing approval suddenly get it. The ones who stop forcing success suddenly rise because they finally redirect their energy inward where it belongs. It's not magic, it's math. The more you detach, the more consistent you become. The more consistent you become, the more inevitable your success becomes. So here's the challenge.
Stop trying to control outcomes. Stop trying to rush what takes time. Stop letting results decide your emotions. You are not here to chase. You are here to command. And command begins with this. You own your actions. You own your standards. You own your effort. You let go of what's beyond your control and double down on what's in your hands. That's not detachment. That's dominance. Detach from the result, dominate the process. You've learned how to separate your identity from the outcome, how to build consistency that doesn't depend on reward. You've learned to live focused, disciplined, and free from the emotional roller coaster of results. Now it's time to talk about something deeper, the foundation behind it all. Emotions aren't your enemies. They're not flaws to suppress. They're fire, and fire isn't evil. Fire only becomes destructive when you lose control of it. Controlled, it forges you. Uncontrolled, it burns you. That's the truth. And it's a truth most people never master. Because most people either drown in their feelings or deny them completely. They swing between two extremes, chaos and coldness. They're either ruled by emotion or afraid of it. But power, real, centered power, is found in neither. Power lives in direction. You don't eliminate emotion. You channel it. Direct your fire. Don't fight your fire. You have a choice. When anger rises, you can explode, or you can channel it. When fear whispers, you can freeze, or you can study what it's warning you about. When disappointment hits, you can quit, or you can build discipline from the ashes. That's the key. Emotion isn't the problem. Direction is. Emotion is raw energy. It's the most potent force inside you. It's movement. It's power. But without guidance, it becomes destruction. Think of a river. When it flows within its banks, it gives life. But when it overflows, it drowns everything. Your emotions work the same way. You don't need to drain the river. You need to build the banks. Let's make this practical. You feel anger. Good. That means you care. That means something inside you refuses to tolerate mediocrity. Now channel it. Don't lash out. Lift. Don't argue. Execute. Don't vent. Build. Use that surge as fuel for the gym, for the work, for the plan. Anger, when directed, becomes drive, but when you drown in it, it becomes destruction. Direct your fire. Don't fight your fire. You feel fear. Everyone does. But fear, when used correctly, is a compass. It points to the places where growth lives. So when fear speaks, don't run. Listen. What's it protecting? What's it warning? What's it teaching? Then step forward anyway. That's how courage is built, not by deleting fear, but by commanding it. Fear becomes fuel when you move through it consciously. It becomes prison when you avoid it emotionally. You have a choice. You feel sadness, rejection, or disappointment. And the world will tell you, move on, get over it. But that's not power. That's avoidance. Sit with it. Extract the lesson. Transform it into action. Every disappointment is raw material for strength. Every loss is data for your next move. Disappointment, when directed, becomes discipline, but when you drown in it, it becomes despair. That's the key. Feel it fully, but don't let it flood you. You are not what you feel. You are what you do with what you feel. Look at the greats. They've all learned how to harness emotion, not hide it. The athlete who channels anger into relentless training, the artist who turns heartbreak into creation, the entrepreneur who turns fear into preparation. They don't drown, they direct. They don't suppress, they strategize. They understand emotion is just energy, and energy can be transformed. You don't need to fight your fire. You need to point it. Direct your fire. Don't fight your fire. Let's go deeper. Emotion isn't weakness. Emotion is information. It tells you what you value. Anger reveals your boundaries. Fear reveals your uncertainty. Sadness reveals your attachment. When you treat emotion as data, not drama, you gain control. You become the observer, not the prisoner. That's emotional intelligence in action, not just feeling less, but understanding more. You stop asking, "Why am I feeling this?" and start asking, "What is this feeling showing me?" That's how you evolve. Here's how to practice emotional direction. Step 1, label it. Name exactly what you feel. Anger, fear, shame, jealousy. Don't run from it. Naming emotion separates you from it. You create a gap between the storm and the captain. Step 2, locate it. Where's it showing up in your body? Tight chest, fast breath, shaking hands? Awareness pulls the power back to you. Step 3, leverage it. Turn that energy into motion. Journal, train, create, build. Don't let emotion die inside you. Convert it into something that moves your life forward. You don't control what you feel. You control what you do with what you feel. It's not about pretending to be calm all the time. That's not power, that's paralysis. Power is when you can be angry and still think clearly. Power is when you can feel sad and still act intentionally. Power is when you can be afraid and still move forward. That's control. You don't need to numb yourself to be strong. You need to master your energy. That's what emotional control really is, energy management. Every feeling you have can serve you if you learn how to use it. Every feeling can destroy you if you refuse to direct it. And that's the difference between those who stay centered and those who stay stuck. Direct your fire. Don't fight your fire. Here's the truth. People who drown in emotion lose focus. People who suppress emotion lose humanity. But people who direct emotion, they become unstoppable. Because they've learned the secret of inner power. Emotion isn't the enemy. Unawareness is. Once you learn to channel what you feel, no external chaos can control you. You become fluid but unbreakable. Passionate but poised. Emotional yet unmoved. You have a choice every day. Let emotion dictate your behavior or let discipline direct your energy. Let emotion drain you or let it drive you. You can drown in the fire or you can forge yourself in it. Direct your fire. Don't fight your fire. You've now learned how to command your emotions instead of being commanded by them. You've turned fire into focus, energy into execution, chaos into clarity. But emotion isn't the only force demanding your attention. There's another, quieter force, just as powerful. the energy you give others, the power you give their opinions, the permission you hand away. You've mastered yourself. Now let's talk about ownership of your space.
People are always watching. Not your words, your reactions. They test your tone. They test your silence. They test your limits. They want to know what you'll do under pressure, because pressure exposes truth. And most people crumble. Most people react. Most people flinch. But not you. Not anymore. Because you understand something most don't. The one who remains still under pressure controls the narrative. When they push and you don't flinch, you shift the power. You take control of the moment. You become the calm center in a storm built to break you. Unshaken, unbothered, unbreakable. Here's the truth. People test you to measure your strength, not always intentionally, sometimes subconsciously. The world prods at calm people. It pokes, it provokes, it whispers. Let's see what they'll do. And every time you react, you give away your power. Every time you flinch, you tell them where your weaknesses live. But when you stand there, still, calm, grounded, they feel something they can't explain. Respect. Because composure is dominance. Stillness is strength. Restraint is control. The loudest person in the room is never the strongest. The calm one is. That's the key. You have to understand this. Composure is not passivity. It's precision. It's control. It's the discipline of knowing that reaction gives them what they want, while stillness gives you the upper hand. You have a choice every time someone tests you. Feed their game or hold your frame. When they mock, when they insult, when they push, don't rise. Don't defend. Don't explain. Just look back with still eyes and say everything without a single word. That's power. That's command. That's inner sovereignty. Unshaken, unbothered, unbreakable. Let's get real. Most people are addicted to reaction. They can't stand silence. They mistake quiet for weakness because they've never experienced control. But silence isn't weakness. Silence is strategy. And composure isn't submission, it's mastery. You want to be unstoppable? Learn to not respond every time you're provoked. Learn to sit in discomfort without rushing to react. Learn to let tension hang in the air and still be okay. Because the one who can hold tension always wins. That's emotional dominance. That's mental fortitude. You don't need their permission to stay calm. You don't need to prove you're right. You just need to keep your center, no matter how hard they push. When someone challenges you, pause. Don't mirror their energy. Don't match their tone. Because the moment you match their chaos, you become them. Instead, hold the line. Let their storm crash against your stillness. Let their insecurity drown in your composure. People can't manipulate what doesn't react. They can't provoke what doesn't move. They can't control what doesn't need validation. That's what you're becoming, unprovocable. Unmoved by insults, unmoved by noise, unmoved by the opinions of people still trying to figure themselves out. Unshaken, unbothered, unbreakable. Let's talk about what this looks like in real life. At work, when someone tries to undercut you in a meeting, don't snap. Don't rush to defend. Take a breath. Let silence do the heavy lifting. Then speak once, clearly, calmly, and finish it. In relationships, when someone tries to pull you into emotional chaos, don't chase, don't beg, detach. Because whoever stays composed holds the frame. On social media, when people throw hate, criticism, or jealousy your way, don't reply,
Don't feed it. They want attention. Don't give them oxygen. You can't fight every battle, but you can win every moment by refusing to react. It's not about ego. It's about strategy. It's not about pride. It's about discipline. Every moment you stay calm is a message. I own myself. You want to know what real strength looks like? It's not loud. It's not dramatic. It's not reactionary. It's the quiet confidence that says, I see what you're doing, and it won't work. That's unshakable. You become like the mountain. Storms may rage around you, but they don't move you. You become like deep water, calm on the surface, powerful underneath. You stop flinching. You stop defending. You stop proving. Because you finally realize your reaction is their reward. Stop giving it to them. Here's the shift you must make. Stop asking, why are they pushing me? Start asking, why do I still flinch? Every push is a mirror. Every test is a teacher. It shows you where you still give away control. And that's the work, to take that control back piece by piece. Next time you feel that surge, the heat, the impulse to fire back, pause. Breathe. Remember the rule. The one who reacts first loses control first. Every single time. You have to train your nervous system to stay calm under stress. That's real mastery. Start small. Practice not reacting to minor annoyances, the traffic, the noise, the disrespect. Each time, remind yourself, this doesn't move me. Over time, your threshold rises. You stop living at the mercy of the moment. You become deliberate, intentional, composed. Because the more you practice composure, the more powerful you become. Unshaken, unbothered, unbreakable. Let me tell you something most people won't. Composure intimidates people. They can't read you. They can't predict you. They can't manipulate what they can't move. And that unnerves them. Good. Let it. You're not here to be predictable. You're here to be respected. And respect doesn't come from reaction. It comes from restraint. Respect comes from consistency, not compliance. Respect comes from knowing who you are and refusing to be dragged into what you're not. You don't need to explain calmness. You embody it. Remember, every test you pass in silence makes you stronger. Every insult you outlast without flinching builds muscle. Every storm you outstand without breaking becomes proof you can't be moved. That's real power. Not in domination, but in direction. Not in reaction, but in response. Not in noise, but in presence. You are learning to master that presence now. You are learning to be unshaken, unbothered, unbreakable. Because once you master composure, you master command. And once you master command, chaos can't touch you anymore. You become a mirror, only reflecting what you choose. You become a fortress, only allowing what serves you. That's not coldness, that's control. And that's what makes you untouchable. You've learned how to remain still when the world pushes. You've learned how to own your reactions, control your frame, and hold your center when everything around you tries to pull it apart. But composure alone isn't enough. Now you must direct that stillness toward something greater, toward purpose, toward mastery, toward vision. You've mastered your reactions. Now it's time to master your direction.
Emotional distance is not apathy. It's perspective. It's not coldness. It's clarity. The difference between chaos and control isn't emotion. It's attachment. And most people are slaves to what they're attached to. They get too close to the outcome, too close to approval,
too close to validation, and that closeness blinds them. But the unmoved step back. They see clearly. They act deliberately. Step back, see clearly, act deliberately. When you're too close to something, you lose objectivity. You start reacting, not responding. You confuse intensity with importance. You mistake emotion for truth. You start chasing feelings instead of facts. And that's where most people lose power. The disciplined mind understands this. Distance creates vision. You can't read the map while you're tangled in the road. You have to rise above it to see the direction. That's emotional distance. The ability to rise above the noise, to look at yourself and your situation from a higher plane. That's the key. Let's be clear. Emotional distance doesn't mean indifference. It means control. It means you feel everything, but you don't let those feelings dictate your movement. You don't let them drive the car. You sit them in the back seat, and you keep your hands on the wheel. That's maturity. That's discipline. That's power. When the crowd panics, the unmoved stays grounded. When emotions spike, the unmoved stays still. Because they know feelings are temporary, but consequences are permanent. Look at the masters of any field: investors, soldiers, surgeons, leaders. They all share one quality: distance. The investor doesn't panic when the market crashes. They step back. They analyze. They act deliberately. Because emotion clouds judgment, and panic destroys opportunity. The soldier doesn't rush forward just because fear or adrenaline says go. He breathes. He waits for the opening. Then he strikes once, cleanly, decisively. Stillness, distance, precision. Step back, see clearly, act deliberately. You have to train that mindset because your default wiring is emotional reactivity. Your instincts are built to protect, not to perform. Your brain screams, "Do something," but the wise mind whispers, "Wait." That whisper, that pause, that's where your power lives. When you can watch your emotions rise and fall like waves without getting pulled under, you've reached a new level of control. That's mastery. It's not about suppressing emotion. It's about directing it. You have a choice. Always. You can react impulsively and regret it, or you can pause, pull back, and respond strategically. That's the difference between amateurs and professionals, between chaos and command, between noise and leadership. Emotional distance builds power because it gives you time. Time to think, time to assess, time to choose. And in that space between impulse and action, that's where discipline lives. Every second you delay reaction, you strengthen your control. Every moment you resist the emotional pull, you sharpen your mind. It's like weight training for your spirit. Every repetition of restraint builds resilience. You don't need their permission to pause. You don't need to explain your silence. You just need to own your space and protect your peace. But let's be honest, maintaining distance isn't easy, because the world constantly tries to pull you in. It feeds you drama. It feeds you urgency. It feeds you fear disguised as importance. Every headline screams, "React now." Every comment online whispers, "Prove yourself." But the wise man doesn't bite. He steps back. He watches. He calculates.
He doesn't chase validation. He controls his attention. He knows that not every noise deserves a reaction. That's emotional distance. You can observe without absorbing. You can care without collapsing. You can feel without falling. Step back, see clearly, act deliberately. Think about the last time you overreacted, the last time you said something out of anger, the last time you made a decision out of fear. What happened? You gave away control. You handed your power to emotion. That's how people get trapped. They confuse motion with progress. They confuse reactivity with productivity. But you're not here to move faster. You're here to move smarter. And that begins with distance. Before you speak, pull back. Before you decide, detach. Before you act, see the whole board. That's how kings move. Not in haste, but in awareness. Every decision deliberate. Every move intentional. Here's the exercise. When emotion hits, whether it's anger, excitement, or fear, don't rush to act. Instead, observe it. Label it. I'm feeling anger. I'm feeling fear. I'm feeling excitement. Then ask yourself, is this feeling true or just loud? Because not every emotion deserves obedience. Not every feeling deserves fuel. The disciplined mind chooses what to feed. And the moment you learn that, your emotions stop driving you. You start directing them. You don't drown in them anymore. You surf them. That's the skill, to ride the wave without losing the board. People will call you distant. They'll say you've changed. They'll accuse you of being detached. Good. Because you're not here to be understood. You're here to be effective. You're not here to react. You're here to rule your inner world. Emotional distance protects your power. It shields your focus. It keeps you steady when others are spinning. You're not cold, you're clear. You're not apathetic, you're aware. You're not distant, you're disciplined. And that distinction changes everything. When the crowd chases the high of the moment, you chase the truth of the mission. When others let feelings drive them, you let purpose lead you. Because that's what emotional distance gives you. Alignment with your purpose. Without it, you drift. With it, you dominate. Step back, see clearly, act deliberately. Let's tie this together. The world rewards the reactive. It celebrates speed, emotion, spectacle. But the ones who truly win, they move differently. They think slowly. They act intentionally. They detach emotionally. They don't get seduced by the high of success or destroyed by the low of failure. They stay even, level, unmoved. Because they understand the storm outside means nothing if the sea within is still. That's what emotional distance does. It keeps your internal sea calm, no matter how wild the waves above. So the next time emotion grips you, don't fight it. Step back. Don't drown. Observe. Don't react. Respond. That's the discipline. That's the edge. You have a choice. Always. You can be consumed by your emotions, or you can control them. You can be driven by the chaos, or you can direct it. You decide who commands the energy inside you. Step back, see clearly, act deliberately. You've learned the art of distance. Now it's time to learn the next discipline, where true inner power is refined. because emotional distance builds clarity, but what you do with that clarity defines your destiny. You've learned to see clearly. Now, it's time to see deeply.
When the storm hits, everyone shows who they really are. Some people panic, some freeze, some look for someone to follow. And then there's the rare few who stand still. They don't flinch. They don't run. They command. You've seen it before, maybe in history, maybe in your own life. When chaos erupts, true leaders don't need to shout to be seen. Their calm cuts through the noise like a blade through fog. That's the mark of someone who's trained for it. Because calm and crisis is not personality, it's practice. The truth about chaos. When things go wrong, your nervous system screams at you to react. It says, do something, fix it now. That's the moment where most people lose the battle. They act out of panic, not purpose. They confuse motion for progress, but movement without clarity is self-destruction. You must learn to pause, to assess, to command. That's not natural. That's trained. In chaos, command. That's the key. When everyone else loses their head, the one who keeps his becomes the anchor. People are drawn to stability like ships are drawn to the lighthouse in a storm. They don't even need to be told. They just sense it. Your composure becomes contagious. But understand this. That calm isn't born in the moment of crisis. It's built before it. In the quiet hours when you discipline your emotions, when you learn not to react to small irritations, when you control your breathing under pressure. That's where commanders are made. The myth of natural calm. Some people think certain leaders are just calm by nature. No, that's a lie. They trained themselves to be unshaken. They earned that stillness through repetition. They became calm through chaos, not before it. Look at history's examples. The pilot who landed a failing plane in a river. The firefighter who walked into a burning building with focus in his eyes. The general who gave clear orders as explosions rattled the earth. They didn't rise above chaos because they were immune to fear. They rose above it because they had practiced how to act through fear. That's the distinction. And that's what you must learn. In chaos, command. You have a choice. You can either be consumed by the storm, or you can become the one who commands it. The internal battlefield. The real storm is not outside you. It's inside, in your mind. When things fall apart, the weak lose control of their thoughts. Their emotions take the driver's seat. Their mind spins, what if this fails? What if they blame me? What if it's over? That spiral destroys their ability to think. You must interrupt it immediately. When the internal chaos begins, command yourself first. That's where leadership begins. Breathe. Think in statements, not questions. Say to yourself, I see the problem. I understand the risk. I will act, not react. That's leadership. That's self-command.
Because if you can't command your own emotions, how will you command a situation? Remember, the storm outside is never greater than the storm inside. When you master your inner storm, the outer one loses its power. In chaos, command. The mechanics of command under pressure. Here's how you practice it in real life. Slow the moment down. When your heart races, force your breathing to slow. Inhale deep, exhale longer. That signals to your nervous system, I'm in control. Name what's happening. Don't say, everything's falling apart. Say, we have a problem with X. When you label the issue, you shrink it from chaos into something containable. Prioritize action. Ask yourself, what is the single most important move right now? Do that. Forget the rest. Commanders don't multitask. They sequence. Project calm. Your tone, your face, your posture, all of it must signal control, not fake control, earned control. You can't demand trust, you must radiate it. This is how you train calm like a muscle. Not through books, but through exposure. Not through theory, but through action. When life hits you, you apply this system. Again and again, until calm becomes instinct. That's practice. That's mastery. That's the discipline of command. Command is not control. Understand this. Command is not about controlling everything. It's about controlling your response to everything. You can't stop the storm, but you can decide how you'll stand in it. You can't stop betrayal, failure, or loss, but you can choose your composure, your words, your direction. That's command. That's the hidden power of the unmoved mind. And when you live this way, something profound happens. People start to follow your stillness. They begin to trust your silence more than they trust others' noise. You become the reference point in chaos. That's what leadership actually is. Not being loud, not being dominant, but being grounded. The discipline behind it all. Remember, calm is not passive. It's active control. It's not about doing less, it's about doing right. It's not about emotionlessness, it's about emotional precision. In every storm, there's a choice. To be swept away or to stand still and see clearly. When you stand still, you see opportunity where others see disaster. You see solutions where others see confusion. You act while others freeze. That's why storms are necessary. They reveal who's been practicing and who's been pretending. The storm doesn't create the commander. It reveals him. In chaos, command. Final reminder. Every crisis in your life, every emotional storm, every betrayal, every collapse is a chance to train composure. When things break, practice stillness. When people panic, practice calm. When uncertainty rises, practice clarity. Because every storm is a classroom. Every moment of chaos is a test of your discipline. You don't rise by shouting louder than the storm. You rise by commanding yourself so completely that the storm bends around your stillness. You have a choice. That's the key. You've learned how to command yourself in chaos. You've seen how composure separates the fragile from the formidable. Now it's time to master the next level of power. The kind that comes not from words, not from control, but from restraint. You've commanded the storm. Now, let's master what comes after the storm.
When everything collapses, your foundation is revealed. It's easy to be confident when life moves your way. It's easy to be composed when everything goes according to plan. But the real test, the one that separates the ordinary from the unshakable, comes when the world begins to shake. That's when you discover what you actually stand on. When your plans crumble, when people turn away, when the familiar disappears. In those moments, everything false falls away. What's left is what's real. The weak search for something to cling to. The strong return to their foundation. They stay grounded. They hold their center. And the world eventually follows their calm. Hold your center. The world will follow. The illusion of control. Most people build their peace on unstable ground. They rely on comfort. They rely on people. They rely on things staying predictable. But comfort is temporary. People change. Predictability is an illusion. When you depend on externals to stay calm, you've already lost. You have no anchor. You drift with every storm, and the moment the ground shakes, your peace collapses with it. You have a choice. You can build your strength on shifting sand, or you can build it on something unmovable. Your own discipline, your own values, your own control over how you respond. That's the key. True stability doesn't come from what's around you. It comes from what's within you. Hold your center. The world will follow. The foundation of the unmoved. When everything around you trembles, ask yourself, what do I stand on? Not your reputation, not your possessions, not your comfort zone. You stand on your principles. You stand on your habits. You stand on your discipline. Because when the ground cracks, you fall to the level of your training, not your dreams. That's why you practice calm before chaos. That's why you build inner strength before the storm. That's why you prepare yourself to act, not panic. The unmoved don't lose faith when things fall apart. They return to their foundation. They've rehearsed this. They've faced small trials, so they're ready for the big ones. They know what matters and what doesn't. They don't need reassurance. They don't need permission. They don't need everything to go right. They just need their center. Your center is your compass. When life spins, your center is the point that doesn't move. It's the reference line that keeps your balance, your clarity, your power. But here's the truth. Most people never find it because they never sit still enough to know who they are without the noise. Your center isn't something you discover in chaos. You discover it in stillness, and then you defend it in chaos. How? By knowing your non-negotiables, by building your routines, by refusing to let emotions dictate direction. You can't control the earthquake, but you can control your stance. That's the power. That's the difference between the unmoved and the unstable.
The unstable react. The unmoved realign. Hold your center. The world will follow. Grounding through loss and uncertainty. When life shakes, the weak look for comfort. The strong look for clarity. Loss is part of life. Uncertainty is part of the journey. And every shake is a reminder. You were never meant to control everything. Your job is to endure, not escape. To learn, not lament. When everything falls apart, ask yourself, what can I still control? Your breath, your focus, your next move. That's it. That's all you need. You build from what remains, not what's lost. When you return to your foundation, discipline, faith, patience, you find out the truth. You were never actually broken. You were just being stripped down to what's real. And that's the beauty of it. The shake doesn't destroy you. It reveals you. The practice of being grounded. Being grounded is not about being unfeeling. It's about being anchored. Here's how you practice it in real life. Stay aware of your breath. When panic hits, awareness is your weapon. Slow your breathing. That single act reclaims control from chaos. Touch reality. Look around. Ground yourself in the present moment, not the fear of the future or regret of the past. Repeat your core truth. Remind yourself, I am still here. I can handle this. This is not the end. These words are not cliches. They are commands. Act small, but act steady. Don't try to rebuild everything at once. Move piece by piece. Direction is more important than speed when the ground is unsteady. That's grounding in motion. That's composure under collapse. It's not about pretending you're fine. It's about choosing not to surrender to panic. Because panic feeds the problem. Calm solves it. Hold your center. The world will follow. The paradox of stillness. Here's what most people get wrong. Stillness isn't weakness. It's strategy. When you're still, you see. When you're frantic, you miss everything. The one who stands grounded in crisis sees options that others can't, because panic blinds. Stillness reveals. That's why the unmoved always come out stronger. They don't rush into reaction. They respond with intention. They choose their next step instead of being pulled by fear. That's the key. You have the same power. You have a choice. You can let the earthquake decide who you are, or you can decide that you will not move, no matter what breaks around you. That's the key. Returning to center. Every time the world shakes, you'll be tempted to chase control, to fix, to explain, to escape. Don't. Come back to your foundation. Come back to the habits that made you strong. Come back to your breath. You've been here before. Maybe not this exact storm, but the feeling of uncertainty, the fear, the doubt. And you survived. You learned. You rose. This time, you'll do the same. Only calmer. Only wiser. Because you know where your center is. Hold your center. The world will follow. Final reflection. Every storm, every collapse, every uncertain moment is a test not of your control, but of your composure. You can't stop the shaking, but you can choose not to be shaken. You can't stop the noise, but you can remain the silence within it. The unmoved don't escape the storm. They outlast it.
That's the power of being grounded. That's what it means to hold your center. And that's what the world respects. Calm under fire, faith under fear, discipline under disaster. You have that within you. You always did. So when the world shakes, remember, don't react. Don't collapse. Don't run. Return. Breathe. Stand firm. Because when you hold your center, the world will follow. You've learned how to stay grounded when everything around you falls apart. You've learned how the unmoved return to their foundation while others lose their way. Now it's time to explore the final layer of strength, the art of not just surviving storms, but transcending them. You've held your center. Now, let's rise beyond it.
In the end, power isn't found in shouting louder, proving harder, or reacting faster. Power lives in stillness, in the pause before the response, the calm before the decision, the silence before the storm. You don't need to chase. You don't need to prove. You only need to stand unmoved. Because when you can't be shaken, you can't be controlled. When your emotions serve you, you command every outcome. While others burn out chasing noise, you will rise, quiet, composed, inevitable. So now, take this discipline into your world. The next time chaos calls your name, don't answer. The next time fear knocks, stay still. The next time someone tries to pull you into reaction, smile. You have nothing to prove. You are already powerful. You are quiet strength. Stay unmoved and watch the world shift around you.